It's Saturday the 16th of June 2021. Welcome to the Seasiders podcast. Match reaction show. Today we've been watching Hull City versus Blackpool at Sam Stadium, whatever it's called now. And it was 1-1. So, yeah, welcome to the Seasiders podcast match reaction show. I'm John Aspinall. And I've said it twice. Wrong again. Match reaction special. Hull City 1, Blackpool 1.
Ollie's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Seasiders podcast match reaction show. Yet again, a poor introduction by myself. I'm blaming it to being very tired. After taking a long walk on the golden sands of the Foul Coast today. Welcome to everybody on the stream. Welcome in the comments. Welcome to the audio pod. And welcome, Tim. Good evening. How are you doing? How are you doing from your crypt?
It's 2 dogs' dinners on a trot from you, that, isn't it? We'll have to back you on the sub bench.
Jaded. Yeah. Maybe need someone else to take a turn at the old introduction, Lark. How are you doing, Tim, anyway, after that?
Doing fine. I mean, for me, it was just a short stroll. I don't quite know why you're so tired. It was a mere ramble.
A mere flat 10k. Tim and I went took the opportunity to get a bit of fresh air today. Socially distanced, of course. Good evening, Matt. How's life in your neck of the woods down in South Shore, where Tim and I were today?
Yes, infiltrating the postcode lottery that is FY4. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Quite satisfied after today's result as well. So not too bad, thanks.
Nick, good evening. How are you doing?
I am very well. Good evening, everyone. I think you said June again in the intro then, John, rather than January.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with me today. Hopefully I haven't got coronavirus and it's affecting my brain. Anyway, on with the show, as they say. Hull City 1, Blackpool 1. Team lineups to get things underway. So let's get that view on. Blackpool lined up as follows: Chris Maxwell, Ollie Turton, Ekpateta, Ballard, Husband, Dougal, Ward, Labala, Kai, Medine, Yates with Sims, Gabriel Robson, Virtune, Antwi coming back from loan, Garbett and Woodburn on the bench. Tim, first thoughts when you saw that lineup?
First thoughts at the time were that's not our strongest team. I looked at the team, I looked at the bench, and I thought there's 2 players on the bench. Well, one and arguably 2 that I would have started. Most certainly I'd have started Garbett. And I would if he, and this is the problem we don't know, if he's got it in him, I'd have started Virtue. Otherwise, I mean,
surprised with that.
Yes, he's one I wouldn't have started, and I wouldn't have started Labala either. Being honest, they were the 2 would have made way for me. And we're going to the team who was second in the league, and I just felt we had to put our best team, our strongest team out there, and fit the system around what we had. We probably wouldn't have had to change the system, because I would have played Virtue in the centre and just pushed Ward out to the right, but tuck it in. And I think we need Gar. I just think Garbett, as we're going on to talk about, I think when you haven't got, we needed to make sure that we weren't overexposed down their right or left, and we were. So anyway, but we'll they were my immediate thoughts even before we saw what happened when the game rolled out. But
Matt, over to you.
Yeah, similar in a way. I thought Labala possibly just about deserved his starting spot. I didn't think he had too bad a game the other week against was it West Brom we played.
Neither's really cemented their position in the team. Really.
Yeah. No, it was a difficult one because obviously we've suffered a couple of injuries, haven't we, recently? Plus, Garbett and Virtue, they seem to be in and out of the team with injury. Well, Garbett particularly in and out of the team with injury. Virtue coming back from a longer term one. So, whether it was just a game too soon for both of them to start, I'm not quite sure. But there's obviously a bit of, we'll probably talk a little bit more about one or two individual players, but I wasn't overly surprised by the selection, really, just because it seems to be a little bit limited that it was a couple of weeks ago, just through injuries, really. Obviously, Anderson's out now, as we learned earlier on, for the rest of the season as well, so that's another blow for the personnel. And Dan Kemp's obviously just gone back this week as well, so it was obviously one less to select from also. But I'm always you can't second guess Critchley, can you? It seems to change every game, so you just have to see what he puts out and how they react to the situation.
Yeah, Nick, over to you now. I was just going to say bad news that's come out just before this pod about Keshi Anderson. That's why he's obviously not on the team sheet or on the subs bench, so it's a blow, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. Because was it his hamstring or I don't know. It
I'll have a
seems
quick look on Twitter.
Yeah, possibly not if he's out for the season, but yeah, it's definitely a blow. And like I say, Kemp's gone back, so we're looking a little bit short. In terms of the lineup, I'd probably echo what Tim and Matt have said. I think certainly for me, I'd probably like to have seen Garbett start. I can kind of understand it. We're going away from home to second in the league, and he probably wants to be a bit more solid defensively. But I don't think we particularly lose anything in that respect with Garbett playing, and he obviously gives us the option going forward. And his set piece delivery, which is as good as anyone in the division on the day, and it's something we've struggled with, as we've talked about many times. So, but other than that, it was probably as you'd expect. It kind of picks itself a bit, doesn't it, with who's left?
So Tim and I were talking off air about the poor set piece delivery, particularly from Woodburn when he came on, and it's been a problem all season, hasn't it? And Tim, just to kick the match off, then Blackpool didn't start on fire. Really, it was a very turgid start to the game, very cagey start to the game, I think. And the main chance or the main threat came from these balls down their right, our left, getting in behind Husband on quite a few occasions.
Yeah, and I've got a little bit of sympathy with Husband, to be honest, because as I sort of touched upon in the intro, I think he was left a bit exposed. Listen, Hull are a good side. We know they're a good side, and we've got to be at our best to cope with them. And I just felt that there was they had a lot of space down that right, because I don't think Kai tracked back anything like enough for what you're going to want in that situation. Hence my observation about Garbett, because I had that was my view before the game. But I think if we'd had Garbett in there, we would have had the opportunity just for Garbett to tuck in and help when we needed. He's got slightly more defensively minded. But yeah, they knew where the space was, didn't they? And they exploited it where they could. And I actually thought we defended a lot of what they threw at us quite well. But there's still, it was chance after chance after chance, wasn't it? Going down the wings, and they to be honest, I think they're disappointed at the second, because I think player wise, they've probably got the strongest squad. So
I mean, what's the general vibe in this room? I sense it's like, I don't know. I feel like it was a defeat for some reason. I'm not upbeat at all about. I don't know, but it's a point, and it's against a very good team away. So what's someone else think?
I think you've got to be satisfied with a point away at second of the league. I think obviously until they got our goal, we weren't really looking like we were going to do anything, were we? They'd created the better chances, and you're just thinking, is it going to be one of those days? Thankfully it wasn't, but I don't know. I think it wasn't a brilliant performance, but you've got a point away from home at second in the league, so can't be too downbeat about that.
No, so how do you think we started the game, Nick, and just the first half in general? It was quite not a lot to report, really, was there? Bar a couple of chances.
No, and I think me and Matt missed a good chunk of it. Our stream went down, didn't it, Matt? So we were relying on Radio Lancashire for quite a bit of it. Trying to think early on, what chances did we have? There was a shot from Medine, wasn't there? Which is I was listening to on the radio, where I thought it had gone in for a second. Did it hit the stanchion at the back? I saw a bit of chat on the.
Yeah, I was cheering that. Were you cheering that?
The comment. I was listening to the home commentary, and they thought it went in when it first hit, because the net rattled, didn't it? And I actually thought Medine started really well. And I know it's a bit route one, but the ball was coming up to him. He was holding it up and trying to play other people in. And on this occasion, I can't remember who knocked the ball back to him. I presume it was Yates. And he struck it, didn't he? And he struck it well. It was wide, but he did strike the ball really, really well.
I think it hit the stanchion at the back and rolled what looked like in the back of the net. It kind of rolled behind the net, and it looked like a goal. But I was off my chair anyway, celebrating. I'm sure a lot of other people were. Were you, listener, viewers? Let us know in the comments. Do you think it was in? Anyway, Tim, sorry, as you were saying.
Yeah, no, it said it was there. The commentators thought it was initially, and then you suddenly the camera angle really showed it was behind the net, and they quickly backtracked on it. But it was a decent strike, and another day it might have gone in.
Gary Brabbin on the comms, wasn't he? One particular funny piece he said was what he said about his missus, something like when he was going about eyesight, you haven't seen me in the dark. Something about his missus anyway. It escapes me. But the commentary side was good anyway. It was good to have some decent insight from the commentator team. But Matt, how do you think Blackpool started this game and incidents? It wasn't really an incident-packed first half, was it?
No, I mean the commentator team. Just to briefly mention that again, both of them were educated, unlike some others that we've had in the past. And they actually mentioned, I think the word they used was scruffy in terms of a first sort of 15, 20 minutes. And it basically transpired that was the whole of the first half, really. It was fairly sort of attritional and not a lot of creativity on either side. Both sort of, I wouldn't even say cancelling each other out because there weren't even really much creativity on both sides, really. We seem to be sort of waiting for something to happen instead of being a bit more proactive, really, which was, a little bit disappointing. We can. I remember reading something from Neil Critchley not so long ago when he said we go into every game wanting to win. They need to sort of show a little bit more then. Come out of the shell a little bit earlier because they didn't seem to be doing that at all. And it was only until obviously they went down to 10 men we scored in 10 men with that sort of period where we showed a little bit more. And that was, you just feel as though there's certain games where we just don't sort of grasp the metal a bit too early. We can do it. Show that the players have got a little bit more about them, regardless of the sort of conversations that we all have about formations and who's getting selected. I'm sure they're all capable, but it's as if they're somehow a little bit scared or something. I'm not quite sure. I can't put my finger on it.
Oh, thanks, Phil. Phil's given the correct comment from Brabs. The commentator said, "You've got better eyesight than me," and Brabin said, "You haven't seen the state of my missus."
He's for a slap when he gets home.
I bet he's got to be praying his missus wasn't listening or watching to the game. Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that, Phil. But Tim, we had a big chance on 39 minutes. It's kind of our only serious opportunity. You're thinking a bit there, so I'll remind you.
I think I remember we're on now.
Medine's not back from the free kick, and Ekpiteta and Turton getting in each other's way. In the side net, and I think Turton got in the way. Actually, I think he should have just let Ekpiteta go for it, and we might have scored. It was a great knockback. Yeah,
I mean, the strength of our play in the first half was Medine's hold up and trying to play people in, but. When you analyse the whole half, we didn't have a shot on target, did we? Which is you aren't going to win games and put yourself in the best position you can be if we're not doing that. So it was slim pickings, wasn't it? And that was probably, other than the Medine shot we spoke about earlier, was about the best chance we had in the first half. And I'm always concerned with the way that our team's set up, that we don't give ourselves the best chance of creating the chances we need to win games. With that 4-3-3, we were never going to have a lot of chances. And in the first half, even though we're in the 4-4-2, we were very much the same. But I think that's a reflection of the fact that our wide positions, we were underperforming, both sides, unfortunately. And if you're going to play 4-4-2 and you've got two underperforming wide players, then you aren't going to be creating chances at the end of the day, because Ward and Dougal are both very, very much more defensive minded, aren't they?
I think
Okay, Yates and Medine we're feeding off scraps. To be fair, I thought Jerry Yates put a real performance in relation to his off the ball closing down and running today. He was doing everything that he could to try and put pressure on the defence. But how many times did we feed the ball into him during the first half? I can't remember us ever doing it. We're talking about what we'd normally say very much not even half chances. Well, probably Medine's was a half chance, but we to not hit the target in the first half is disappointing, and I don't think the problem lies with the two guys up front there.
No, definitely not. They can only feed on what they've been given. And I'm just going to have a quick comment from Bison's. Still think people think we're better than we actually are. Matt, you're nodding there.
Mm. Yeah, I think. I mean, everybody craves sort of instant success, and obviously we had everyone knows we had a massive turnover of players in the summer, and it's very difficult, isn't it, especially in the current circumstances, for sides to instantly sort of gel and click and so on. I do think there's an element of the head coach sort of tinkering too much as well and not quite finding the right formula yet. But yeah, I do think that people might just, we're all impatient. We all want success, but I do feel as though this is it's like a 2-year project, isn't it? At least I think we're signing players on 2 and 3 year contracts to look at maybe doing a big of a push next year. It might happen this year, it might not, but we all want things to happen like yesterday. But the reality is that we're probably just not good enough. We might just do something. We might go on another run. We were talking or listening last night, rather, they had the perfect 10, didn't they, when they got promoted in 2007. And these things happen. And this division is still so congested that, anything could happen if you get a run together. And I do feel as though there's something, not necessarily with us perhaps, but there's something going to happen in this league because there's so many games coming thick and fast. And Accrington are one of those that they've started well, but they've got so many games to catch up on. It just might catch up with them. So
we're not even halfway through the season, Matt.
No, exactly. And it's difficult because everyone wants to win 21 out of 21, but it doesn't work like that, does it? Yeah. But I do feel as though there's still something missing, and we haven't quite got to the nub of it yet.
So, Nick, I'm going to come to you. You made a hilarious comment on the WhatsApp chat group, our chat group, following our start to the second half. Although just before they scored, we did have a chance. I actually missed this. I was making a brew. 48 minutes. Joe Yates unable to connect with a near post flick on. Did you see that at all, or does anyone else remember that?
Trying to remember it.
48 minutes. Medine wins a near post flick from a corner, but Jerry Yates is unable to connect cleanly with the ball. I didn't see it, so.
I saw it. I vaguely remember the flick on, but I can't remember what happened after it. It was. To be honest, I can't. It's just.
It literally fell to sort of the back post area where Yates was just sort of muscled out by the. I mean, I suppose these days it's unusual to have a defender on the back post, isn't it? And Yates would have scored another one from about 3 inches out had he not been there, but he was just sort of muscled out on it and. That was about. It was interesting actually. It was a decent. I think Lubana took the corner as well. Actually, strangely enough. So I might be wrong, but it was about our only sort of clearish cut chance, wasn't it? After what was it, 48 minutes or something?
Yeah, but I was Nick, just coming back to you again. You said something along those lines of what did they do at half time? Smoke bongs. Because we all come out like we're stoned in the second half. Well, again, wasn't it? Again.
It's becoming a bit of a regular feature, isn't it? Just such a slow start to the second half. Just all over the place for 5 or 10 minutes again. It's weird. Really is. I don't understand it. Obviously they're going to come out on the front foot. They're the home side, but we were all over the place. It was no surprise to see them score, really.
6 minutes in, Malik Wills.
Yeah, decent finish. But I thought defensively there, obviously Husband was caught out a bit. Was it Kai had given the ball away in the middle of the park?
Stupid. No, he was down on the touchline. He tried to do a stupid flick to get round somebody. And it just didn't come off.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they
Exposed
break,
head.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
behind
husband's caught out. And I thought when the ball came across,
Did one of
was
our
it Marv had got a bit of a touch on it, and then I think was it Turton. I thought he was actually favourite to get to it, and he just seemed to stop. And their lad was on the ground, and he's got up and flicked it across the area. And to be fair, it was a decent finish, but I thought again it was another goal that was avoidable.
Viewers, what do you make of Blackpool's goals with avoidable? Go on, Matt. Your views on this goal?
Sorry. It was quite funny, really, because I was writing. Occasionally, I'll write a couple of notes when we do this, and knowing that I'm going to be on, and sometimes I don't, just sort of wing it a bit like we do. But I actually wrote down literally 20 seconds before they scored. I thought it was the best start to the second half for a long time.
I was going to say the same.
And then I had to cross it all out. But so that led me to look. Being a bit of a stato guy that I am, I thought, how many goals have we actually conceded in the first 10 minutes of this second half in the season? And we've conceded, out of the 24 that we've conceded at that point, we've conceded 5. So that's like 20% of our goals conceded are in that first 10 minutes. And it might even be less than that, I just sort of rounded it up. But there's something wrong at half time, isn't there?
Half time bongs. They need to knock it on the head, Nick, don't they?
Definitely.
You know what's serious? I was going to say, in fact, their commentators, because I was on the way commentary, they said Blackpool had come out stronger. And I thought we were looking all right. And then the ball had gone out to left to Kai, and he just, I mean, if it comes off, he does this flick, and I'm probably on a bit of a downer on him because I don't think he contributed anything today. He did this stupid flick. He's out of position. They win the ball, and then they're going at Husband down their right, and Husband's got no cover. And we find ourselves, I actually don't, up until it was at the 52nd minute, the first 6 or 7 minutes of that half, I actually thought we were doing okay for once. And I was thinking the way you were, Matt, that actually this isn't a bad start to the second half, bearing in mind all the criticisms we've made about how we do come out. But you've got to stay switched on, and we got caught out, and this time their possession down the right told, and I thought it was a good finish from their guy, to be fair. But I think our defenders went to the ground a bit too quickly with the challenges.
I think it was a good finish, Tim, but like a lot of people in the chat are saying, someone's saying Turton bottled it. Tom's just said that. It was like he was ball watching, and he's only gone to charge him down just as he's about to shoot, and he was favourite to get there. So I don't know what he was doing there. At fault, possibly. So Kai was sub not long after that, 58 minutes, and there's a lot of criticism for Kai coming in on the chat here.
I think so. A couple of people misunderstood what I said when I said he's not contributed. I was on about contribute. I didn't mean in other games he hasn't. I just meant today he hadn't contributed anything today at all. I wouldn't have started him anyway.
Morrison's has just said 21 games in, and Kai doesn't deserve a starting berth. It's hard to disagree. Cassini, sad to say, but Kai not good enough. Tom just said Turton's bowled it for the goal. I think a lot of people are kind of starting to lose patience with him. Kai's a luxury player we can't afford, does very little. I think we've mentioned that previously in the past. Needs dropping. I think he has been so in the previous game.
I think also from a manager stroke head coach's point of view, it must be a nightmare because he gets opportunities. He must look good in training, and I'm sure he is, and I'm sure he's working his hardest to obviously get back into the side. But when he gets these opportunities, he just doesn't seem to take them and doesn't look interested. And it's funny again. Those who haven't listened to Ben Burgess last night, obviously I'd highly recommend it anyway. But Ben Burgess mentioned about J. Emmanuel Thomas, didn't he? And the fact that he was this kid from Arsenal who looked like, Pele come Maradona or whatever in training. And then he just looked like, Pete from Accounts on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. So
I was going to say exactly that, Mark, what you've just said.
It's funny, isn't it, how some players just don't seem to turn it on the pitch. And there is obviously definitely a skillful player there. And whether he's not playing in his wanted position, i.e. I think he's better in a number 10 role. But at the end of the day, he's a professional footballer, so he should be able to play in one or two other positions. But he's just beyond frustrating, isn't he? And that's where we are with him, unfortunately.
We've had a bit of a chat on the WhatsApp, the patrons WhatsApp group, and obviously there were some advocates for Kai. Phil, where are you? Come on and defend him if you want. But he was saying he's been played out of position. But to be honest, the 2 seasons Kai has been with us, he's played left midfield, left wing, virtually every game I've ever seen. I can't remember how many times he's played that number 10 role. And to be honest, with his work rate, would you want him to? I mean, it's because you got to either drop Yates or Medine to accommodate him then, because you're not going to drop one of the central midfielders because he ain't going to work enough for you. So he'd have to go alongside the other striker.
Yeah, it's funny, really. I'll just jump in again, John, if we want to move on. At the start of the season, I said that I thought Medine was sort of like in the last chance saloon. I remember using those particular words because he looked unfit, didn't look interesting. Totally different player. Absolutely, totally different player this year. And Kai needs to show the same sort of reaction. And he obviously isn't. And this is what's going to, either keep it at the club or not. Simple as that. I think come the end of the season.
Nick, you made a good point on the WhatsApp chat group about obviously there was a debate whether he was at fault for the goal, and some people were saying he's playing him out of position. But as you said, he can still track back. Playing out of position doesn't mean you can't track back.
No, that's it. It's probably not his ideal position, as the other guys have said, but you should still be giving everything you can for that time that you're on the pitch, and tracking back is part of that. And I think if he was doing that, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, would we? Because you could see he was putting the effort in. It just, I don't know. It's his body language. I'm sure he is interested, but just doesn't seem to look at it at times. And it was no surprise to see him come off.
So there was another enforced substitution on 62 minutes. Labala down in a subbed on 62 minutes, Tim, for Ben Woodburn. Probably Ben Woodburn's drinking at the last chance saloon. Do you think he took that chance?
Yeah, and I've got to say, at the time when he came on, I was kicking the dog because I thought that Garbett should have come on.
Poor Ollie.
Poor Ollie. And actually, I think Woodburn didn't do his any harm at all with that performance for the sort of 30 minutes he got. I think a couple of people said on the chat it's possibly his best game in a Blackpool shirt, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I don't think he was brilliant, but I thought he justified Critchley's faith in him. Because I was at the time, I was thinking, and again, going right back, I've been one of Woodburn's biggest promoters for bringing him in, and I was really excited about him coming in, but I've been underwhelmed, and that was why I was thinking, I can't understand why Garbett hasn't got the nod ahead of him. Obviously, Garbett followed not long afterwards. Well done, Ben, for his contribution from the moment he joined. He looked like he was up for it. He looked like he had a bit of pace about him. And obviously had a contribution to play in what came to pass with the sending off, didn't he? And I think had that not happened, he would have scored.
Okay, that's the game. We were playing in the ascendancy, I think, Nick, weren't we, in the second half? And then a red card happened on 77 minutes. And he's gone. He didn't fancy chatting about that, so I'll come to you, Matt.
No problem.
And he's one of those Wi-Fi extenders, Matt. Can you order him?
He does, yeah. I will do.
He does. Yeah. Nick needs an extender, everybody. Would everyone like to get Nick an extender?
I wrote down about the red card.
All over 10 men. Yeah. Brings down Ben Woodburn when clean 3. So I think there's a bit of consternation about this. Should Woodburn have got his shot away? I think he was kind of playing for the foul almost, and he had the option to slot Medine in on the right-hand side. So I don't think there's any fault there. I
don't know. My notes were just when Woodburn was about to miss, he got fouled. So how much faith
What do you think he'd have done if it had not been brought down? You got to take the keeper in that situation, haven't you?
I don't know.
think
He was going to do one or two things. I thought he was going to hit first, on the right hand side of the goalkeeper. But yeah, we'll never know. It was unfortunate slip for their, fortunate for us. He was quick to react to it, which was good. And that was, our bit of good fortune for the day, really, wasn't it? Getting them down to 10 men. We'll never know. I thought he was going to shoot personally. So, the centre half did what any centre half stroke James' husband would have done and brought him down.
Plus, he's already been booked away as well, so he's got to do it, hasn't he? Nick, you dropped off then. We were just talking about that. Do you think Woodburn was at fault there for not getting his shot away earlier? I think he could have. Mac agrees. At the time, I was a bit annoyed Woodburn hadn't got the shot away before he brought down. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I did wonder if he could have just fired his shot off. And it's frustrating, isn't it? Obviously, the red card, it's a stonewaller. But then when you waste the free kick, you just feel like, oh, I wish he'd have gone through and slotted it home. But, after that, obviously, it gave us a chance to get forward a bit more. And I did wonder whether, because we had 3 subs lined up, didn't we, just as that happened, whether he might change his mind on those, but didn't, and obviously carried on with it.
You know what I'd have done? I said this to John when we were off air before. He had the 3 subs lined up he was going to bring on. I'd have brought Garber on there and then and let him have the free kick, because
That's a great shout.
You've got to have the technique to take that. And we were talking, saying, when a free kick's in that close, obviously the player's got to go back to 10 yards, but trying to get the ball over the wall and in the goal you need somebody who can pinpoint a pass. And Garbutt's the man. He had him lined up to bring him on. I'd have said, I'm looking around the pitch thinking who's going to take that, and I'd have brought him on. I know he'd have been cold, but I brought him on and said, take it. And it was, and I was a bit, it was a bit frustrated. Well, you can't be frustrated that doesn't happen, but I would have thought that would have been a really clever thing to try, because he's the dead ball specialist.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, John, to be honest. I was thinking if this was like, if Jeff Hembry was the manager, we'd be putting on the specialist sort of field goal team or whatever they call it in the States.
Calling the special team.
That's right. But you're absolutely right. I mean, at that particular point, he was ready to come on. So it could have been worth a punt. I mean, if it was a penalty shootout, that's what people do, don't they? They bring certain goalkeepers or penalty takers on. So, no, and it was also talking about the free kick itself. I thought Medine was going to blast it like he did his penalty, and it ended up being a bit tame in the end, didn't it? Unfortunately,
that's what I was thinking, Matt. I was thinking if you're not going to bring Garbutt on to take it, then if it is Medine, he needs to hit it like he did that penalty last week. There was a gap in the wall, and all right, the keeper's there, but just whack it as hard as you can. Like Tim said, from that distance, it's very difficult to get it up and over. You're talking postage stamp perfection, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
I was hoping to see like
an opportunity missed.
Sorry, I was hoping to see like a free kick like hot shot Hamish, where the centre, whoever was in the wall, would have gone into the back of the net as well.
yeah.
Or you can even in those sort of situations, you can be a bit clever, can't you? Just daisy cutter, wall jumps, they're over the ball and it's in, or just
you just look right, dick. If the wall stands still, though.
Well, you still, at least you're getting your shot on. At least you're hitting the target, though, Tim. Or at least you're hitting potentially hitting the target. But just have someone stood over the ball, get your studs on it, roll it to the right, create a bit of space, and put your foot through it. It was very disappointing, but the disappointment soon evaporated in 81 minutes. Tim, when we've equalised, Jerry Yates scrambling the ball in to make the score 1-1.
Yeah. It was. I mean, just before that, I was actually quite surprised that we didn't review the merits of bringing 3 subs on, because with them having gone down to 10 men, I do think there's a little bit to be said for continuity. And we've spoken before, haven't we, about the impact of bringing a lot of subs on and how it takes you a little bit of time to settle down. Actually, I think probably in this game it didn't matter as much as it did do in other games. I think probably I felt that the 3 did settle in quite quickly. But when you're analysing what's happened in previous games and you're thinking now they've gone down to 10 and there's all this more space, do we need to actually bring all 3 on? Personally, I'd have left Dougal on the pitch and left Robson on the bench. I would have made the other 2 subs. I think the other 2 subs were the right calls, but as it happened, if there was ever going to be a winner, it was only going to be once we got that equaliser, it was only going to be us. And it's great to see. In fact, at one point I would say is we had the corner, didn't we? And for me, it was the wrong call by the ref. And their defender was going absolutely mental about it. And I think he had with just cause. And then I forgot who took the corner now, whether it was it Woodburn?
Woodburn.
Some saying that
wasn't the best corners, it just luckily made its way into the box.
Yeah. And Jerry's does what Jerry does in the box. He can be a bit of a poacher in there when he's there's a bit of a shot that came back and it comes back to him, doesn't it? And blasts it in the net. And Q at 3 Snowdrop Dell dancing around the living room and quite a few get in there. So
just about the delivery I've just read this from AMAC. Woodburn to Cones sweet with one to Cones hard and whips in, but the final 2 in the game, it didn't beat the first man. I don't know what anyone else thinks of that.
No, and that was when with Garber on the pitch, wasn't it? Who basically every time he's been on the pitch prior to that has taken every corner. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we scored from a corner, which we were obviously sort of lambasting about the other week, really, that we never scored from a corner was a hell of a surprise, really. It was well worked, wasn't it? Medine flicked it on, and it actually looked like it was off the training ground. So it was a nice bonus, and right place at the right time, isn't he, Jerry Yates? That's what he does. But yeah, all credit to Woodburn for the delivery and Medine for the run to the near post. I've got to say, I missed it earlier on. I forgot about it, but I thought when we actually started the game, it was obvious that Medine was going to be the proper target man, and I think that's what, thinking about the first game when we played them, he caused them all sorts of trouble, and I thought he did again today, pretty much.
So the triple substitution, 82 minutes. Luke Garbutt on for Husband, Gabriel for Turton, Robson for Dougal. Nick, come to you on this. What did you think of this substitution? I was there rubbing my eyes, thinking, "What's going on?" It's like a new team. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a lot, haven't we? When there's 3 coming on, it takes a while for them to settle in, and you lose a bit of that continuity in your momentum.
Do you think it did? Because we were putting the pressure on, weren't we? We were turning the script.
We were, yeah, and I think it did. You'd maybe go 1, maybe 2, but I just think 3's too many.
What's that doing?
Unless you thought Dougal was looking a little. I mean, he'd had a bit of a battle in there, hadn't he? They were. Yeah, he was maybe looking a little bit tired. Perhaps that was the reasoning for that. I don't know. And then Turton off. He's probably bringing Gabriel on. Gives us a bit more going forward, doesn't it? He's a bit more attacking minded. But yeah, it just takes a few minutes for them to settle in, and you're in the 82nd minute already, aren't you? So they've not really got time.
Yeah. Tim, Gabriel impressed when he came on. He almost bundled his way into the box, Maradona style, didn't he? At one point,
it'd have been a worldie, wouldn't it, if he'd got the shot off at the end. And again, I probably jumped ahead with the substitution bit when my comments before. But I think Turton didn't have the greatest game, did he? But also with them losing the extra man, they dropped. They took one of the forwards off, didn't they? Left forgotten his name, but they left the guy up front on his own. So we didn't need 4 at the back. And I think it was right that, effectively you bring him on and you give him a run to almost push up as an additional midfield player. And he looked quite, it's a bit, it's only a cameo, isn't it, at the end of the day, for sort of 10 minutes. But I thought he looked okay, and I thought he contributed. And if he had got through with that shot, it would have been a fantastic cameo, wouldn't it, just to seal the winner? But I think he just ran out of space and ran into too many defenders in the end. But yeah, a positive contribution.
Matt, did you think the substitutions took the sting out of our pressure, turned the valve on the pressure and released it?
I don't think the sort of had any negative effects. To be honest, I thought they were quite positive in all that they did. Obviously, there was a little bit more room for them to move in. Literally, they were trying to sort of stretch the play a little bit more. I think Gabriel's an interesting one, really. I actually thought, going back a bit, I thought Mitchell had a good game against West Brom when he came on the other week for like a similar sort of period of time. I don't know whether he's injured, but obviously he wasn't involved today. But you feel as though Gabriel and Mitchell, I think, probably look like they're the wingers who are converted to fullbacks. Have probably got something more to offer as an attacking force than as a defensive force. And I know that with, Gabriel, when he first came, he had a horrendous game. Was it against Ipswich, I think? And he's got better ever since, I think. And he looks a good prospect. He's not our player, though, is he? And I'm not sure if is he on loan for the season or just for the end of the year.
Any statos out there? Anybody on the stream want to let us know?
Sure.
No, I'm not sure. So basically, it's. I think we're getting as much as we can. I mean, Turton's done well, so you can't really sort of drop him really as a right back. But I still think he might have an opportunity to play in one of the wide roles, whether as a sort of conventional right winger or as an inverted winger, as we've talked about before, on the left hand side of the pitch. So, he's got something to offer.
Cheers for that, Matt. Garbett and Gabriel sound like a 70s pop group. Even Mel and Kim. And Bison's just said, I think we need a mid-season pod, particularly a discussion on the poor recruitment in the summer. He's nailing his close to the mask.
To be fair, I think Bison's makes a good point because, again, I keep saying this, but we took it on the chat, the podcast chat that we have going on during the game. I think it was a point I made, because we Critchley clearly wants to play 4-3-3, but the problem is the recruitment that we've made aren't players who can play a 4-3-3.
Yep.
And so we've had this battle going on all season, haven't we, with a manager who wants to play a certain way, but he's putting square pegs in round holes. And I still think, I know it's controversial from some people's perspective. I still think with what we've got, and to make the most of what we've got, we probably need to go 3-5-2, or play a couple of players slightly out of position to accommodate them. But we haven't got the players to play the system. The manager has played every single year that he's been at Liverpool, and that he was brought in to play. And so we've effectively, we've had our, we joke about it, don't we, with the 4-4-2. But the reality is that's the only way we can get a team out there that actually can compete properly.
Yeah.
And now you've then got to think, whoa, why are we having to play 4-4-2 when the system the manager wants to play is 4-3-3? And the reality is we haven't got the right players.
Scathing comment from Eddie. Recruitment has been awful since the new ownership, all 3 windows. Anyone want to come in on that?
I think it's harsh. I mean, you look at, like Pateta's a fantastic signing, and hopefully he's going to be a player of ours for a long time. I think CJ's a fantastic signing. Dougal's a great signing. Ward's proving to be quite a decent signing, although I think he was under Grayson, wasn't he? Came in that January transfer window.
Dean was as well.
Gretterson.
Gretterson's are looking good. Maxwell's look good. So they're not all, but it's a mixed bag, isn't it? It's like that box of Quality Streets where there's half are all right and the rest of them.
I think the problem is. Sorry, go on, Nick. You go first, mate.
Sorry. I think when you sign like 17 players, they're not all going to be hits, are they? Whatever club is doing that, you're going to get a few that it just doesn't work out.
More than Nick with these pop group vibes. They're not all hits, are they?
No. I think we know the ones that aren't, and may well be on the way out in this next couple of weeks.
And we've not got CJ playing. Let's not forget that as well.
We've not. He is a big miss. I mean, you're looking at that today on that big wide pitch at Hull. You're just thinking. Yeah. He could have had a field day down that wing, couldn't he? Mm-hmm. But going back to Tim's point about that, it is going to be interesting, isn't it? What they do. Is he going to want to get back to that 4-3-3? And if he is, then and he's saying we're only going to sign a couple in this window, possibly. Then is it going to be a busy summer again for him to get the players in that suit his formation? because we can't really play it as it stands, which is why we've gone 4-4-2. And it is a bit sometimes long ball up to Medine and he knocks it down to Jerry Yates. But it's our most effective way of playing at the moment, isn't it? 4-4-2.
Jacko has finally unmuddied the waters. Gabriel season-long loan with callback option in the window. That sounds accurate to me. So thanks for that. Right, let's rate the players, gentlemen. Tim, let's start with you. You start with the goalie. Get his graphics up. Where is he? Maxwell.
He didn't actually have a lot to do today, did he?
Did he? No.
I'm trying to think of anything he had to do. I think
You've got a good game if you've not noticed them.
But maybe I think the one thing he did, there was a decent ball came in from the right hand side, wasn't it? That and I think he blocked it with his feet. I can't remember him having to make a save with his hands anywhere, any point. I'm going to go
down. Sorry, Tim. I think there was a chance low down in the first half, I think. But
okay,
yeah,
I'm going to go with the 7.
He didn't
7.
Spill it, yeah, he didn't spill it. So yeah, good solid performance.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Yeah. It was nothing spectacular. I mean, obviously, last week was a bit different, but a goalkeeper is always going to get a great score. Either if you're getting battered and he keeps you in it, or if you're getting a penalty shootout, isn't he? He's got to be doing something. 7's a good score anyway.
7+. Ollie Turton, that.
7+.
Yeah, difficult one really, because I thought it was largely anonymous in a way, certainly from attacking perspective. But that's probably understandable because he had arguably one of the best attacking players against him in Wilkes for Hull, who's been, obviously he scored their goal.
Player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, he scored their goal. He scored quite a few goals, I think, already this season. He scored against us in the first game, I think, off memory, or at least set one up. I can't remember now. But so it's a difficult one, to give him equally a poor score or a great score. So I'll go sort of in the middle somewhere. I'll go for a 7, average 7, really.
Big Marv, Nick.
I thought he had a very good game. I thought he was our standout player. Had a real battle there today, and he's very consistent now, isn't he? He was looking shaky earlier in the season, those mistakes, and he didn't look comfortable on the ball.
He looks more comfortable on the ball, doesn't he?
He does. I'm not, he used to get it. I was thinking, what's going to happen? And now he's just, he's very, very calm. I think it makes a difference when he's got, if it's Ballard or Gretterson alongside him. He plays very well together with both of them. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10.
From Big Marv to Big Dan, Big Tim.
Doing his Terry Butcher impression today.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Actually, you haven't watched Ballard, because he has he's got his trick, hasn't he? Which is he does that point out where he's telling someone to go wide. So that,
go the other way.
Then he passes the other way. So I think people start sussing him out on that shortly. But actually, I thought he had a great game again today, and I'm going to give him an 8. I've made a schoolboy error and not plugged my laptop in, so I'm going to have to disappear for 30 seconds just to get the charger.
Right, I'll do yours then, Tim. Jimmy Husband, Matt.
Yeah, sort of similar to Turton in a way in that he didn't offer anything going forward, which was a bit disappointing. Equally, he got caught out with their ball inside
as well.
So I didn't think he had a great game really. So I'm probably ultra harsh, but I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10.
Oh, that is harsh. But like you say, caught out of possession several times. Nick, over to you. You're on Kenny Dougal.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it was a real battle in the midfield for him and Grant Ward. I don't think he's been quite at the levels he was when he first was playing. But again, you're away from home against a decent team, so I'm going to give him 7.
7. Grant Ward, Tim.
Yeah, I think it was steady today. I thought that being spectacular. Him and Dougal are without a shadow of a doubt the best midfield partnership. I think the only issue we've got is as Virtue because I know Bison's made a couple of points in relation to who's going to score goals from midfield, and Virtue's the player who can do that. And in order to do that, I can't stop laughing. I think Dennis is.
I put in a Pat Butcher performance today.
Oh dear. So, from the point of view of Ward, I think if we're going to accommodate him and Virtue, then he's got to play on the right, which might slightly detract from his effectiveness. But I thought he was great today. Did his job. Again, they're playing a very good team. So it's a good 7.
This is going to be interesting, Matt. Bez, was he shaking his maracas?
Well, I think he probably needs to watch Wake Up with Bez or whatever it's going to be. Buzzing with Bez on Monday morning to get some bloody energy. Oh, for God's sake. You know, he's him and Kai, they could, you know, they're so horizontal, aren't they, that, you know, it's just difficult to get any sort of, I don't know, positivity out of them, it seems, you know.
But that's not a...
Well, yeah, but I mean, if I give Bez a 5, I think that's probably as generous as I'm going to be, really. Which makes husband sound a bit sort of, you know, hard done by. But yeah, I'll give him a 5 because, you know, at least he put a corner in, I think.
Right, Nick, you've got the goodie.
Well, I was going to go 5, but I think if you give him Bez a 5, I'd probably have to give Kai a 4. You know, as we've talked about in the game, it just wasn't happening, and I don't know. It's a weird one. It really is. I think you can't carry that in a team. You know, you need to have those moments of brilliance, and then it's okay if he drifts out for 20 minutes and then does something that can win you the game. But when that's not happening, you've got a passenger, and you can't justify it. So, yeah, I don't think we've ever gone as low as a 4 before, but. There you go.
Did I do that when I had him?
I think he's the only one to have 2 4s this year. Definitely.
Tell you what, Matt. We need to get a spreadsheet on the go here, don't we? You've been our spreadsheet, Matt. You've been our numbers, man.
I'm not going to watch back all these though to fill it in. I'll be honest.
What do you mean? You've got better things to do than re-watch all these podcasts that we've done.
I've got a whole series of Netflix to get through. It's like that, isn't it? Really.
Back catalogue of Corrie on UK Gold. Watching that the other day. It's really funny. Anyway. Tim, Gary Medine, very good as usual. Did everything and more.
Yeah, I think he led the line well in the first half. Maybe he could have done a better with one of his chances. Make sure he hit the target, particularly that free kick. I think I'm going to go, but I think he in the forward positions, you know, again with having the away commentary on, you do pick up, and they were picking up on him and say, you know, he was a handful, wasn't he? And I can imagine he's a nightmare to play against. So I'm going to go an 8. I think it's a good, strong, solid performance.
Finally, Matt, to see this out. Jerry Yates, goal scorer.
Yeah, I like Jerry Yates. I think you like the fact that he's everything. He's the 2 or 3 marks up that we give Kai and Labala every game, isn't he? I.e., he puts the effort in, and that's all you want as a supporter, isn't it?
That's
you
what
want to see players putting 100% effort in.
Yeah, won't give Kai a hard time if he's 100% in, and he isn't.
Exactly. I mean, it certainly appears that that's not the case. So, I mean, Jerry Yates, he scored the goal. We're playing long ball to Medine today for a lot of the time, so he was fairly anonymous at times. But you can just see he does work hard, and so for that, I'll give him a 7+, really.
7.66 recurring.
Absolutely.
Right round the room, Matt. Nick, starting with you. Who's your man of the match?
Big Marv.
Tim.
Big Marv.
Matt.
I'll just say Ballard, just because it's different from the other 2. But I thought the 2 lads at the back and Medine were the best 3 by quite a way today.
I'll go for Medine, I think. I think he's a consistently high-performing player up front. So, Gary Medine for me. Right, just before we close off. Next up, do we have a midweek game? I don't think we do we?
We do, I think. Northampton.
Northampton. Games coming thick and fast. That's been rearranged, hasn't it? So that should that have been the FA Cup weekend? I think the 4th round. That's been moved back. Right. We've got Northampton at home. Is it Tuesday? Can't see my calendar. How are we going to get on, Nick? They're struggling. Let's get the league.
They are. I'd like to think we can get 3 points. Although we've not always done brilliantly against, I'll say, poorer sides. But I think we'll have too much for them. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
So, Tim, if you look at league table there, we're 14th. Everyone played 28 points. At least not 12th.
2 points out of 12.
Is it?
Yeah, equally, I think, I think we've got to go with a more attacking team on Tuesday night. Again, I don't know whether Virtue's fit enough to start yet, but I'd be if I was Critch, I'd be thinking about, can I accommodate him in the side, because he will get a few shots off at goal, and he's got to play Garbutt. Whether he plays Mitchell or Gabriel is another matter, but I think he's got to play Garbutt for his set plays, and how he accommodates him in the team. Whether he plays him at left back or whether he plays him at left midfield is a decision for him. I'd play him in left midfield.
Matt, we've also, what are your thoughts on Northampton, and also viewers? We've got obviously the FA Cup game against Brighton coming up. We've got a special guest coming up for that preview show, Kieran Maguire from the Price of Football podcast, the numbers man. He was very good at analysing and bringing attention to the situation at Blackpool under the Oyston, so that'll be a great guest to look forward to. So, Matt, before we go, what you think? What your thoughts on the Northampton game? How should we?
Yeah, I think we should be positive. I mean, Northampton are near the bottom. We've actually got 3 very winnable league games coming up, haven't we? Northampton, Wigan, and Burton, who are obviously all in the sort of relegation area as it stands at the moment. So we've got to look for 9 out of 9 against those 3 clubs, and starting hopefully with a win on Tuesday night against Northampton.
Right, I think we'll go, gentlemen. We're at an hour.
Can I just say something before we go? Just for anybody who's on the stream tonight or listens afterwards, if you haven't watched last night's pod, which is technically a pre-match show, so normally it becomes a bit redundant after the game, don't let it put you off. Fantastic hour and a half with Big Ben Burgess, and he's fantastic. He was only meant to be on for an hour and then join a family quiz, and he was enjoying himself that much. He knocked the family quiz on the head and stayed on the pod. Watch it. It's a really good, and well done, Sam. Well done, Tom, for sorting that out and delivering such a great an hour and a half. It was fantastic. Brilliant Friday night. I
think we'll actually rebadge that show, Tim. I think me and Sam were saying we're going to rebadge it as big.
It deserves a wider audience, and because everybody will say Friday night preview show. It's been and gone, but it's not really. It's effectively the Ben Burgess show, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it's out there on the audio anyway. As Ray's just said there. BBB was great. The best podcast ever. Eddie BB legend.
Hey, we were on it.
What?
That'd be the best podcast ever when none of us lot were on it.
Yeah,
that's why.
I'll be honest. He looked and sounded like he could have talked all night. I think he was enjoying himself that much. There was no need for sort of Sam and Tom to sort of interject at times. Was that he was just happy to storytell, which was really, really good to listen to. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So,
to be honest, when you broadcast it, when you've got somebody who's talking like that, you don't interrupt, do you? You just listen.
Exactly.
Because all you're doing is ruining it. So I said to them afterwards, because I came in and they were still chatting, I said, you did brilliant there. You just sometimes less is more, and just let the guy talk. And fantastic night.
Certainly was. Right, listeners, just before we go, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Want to grow this channel, so that'll be appreciated if you could do that now before we sign off. Anything else to talk about? I think that's about it. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody, on the stream. I really appreciate the comments. We say every time, does help make the show loads better. And let's hopefully go to again against Northampton, get 3 points, get the wins back on the board, and then go to Brighton and knock them out of the cup and stick it up the other seaside. So all that remains to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, and up the pool.
Up the pool.